You're now listening to Podcasts with Curtis Mack. What's going on, everybody? It's Curtis Mack, another edition of Podcasts with Curtis Mack. And we have two guests this time around in the R&J studio, and I'll let them introduce themselves, but they are from 11th Hour Rescue. And we'll start off from ladies first, and then we'll slide over to the gentlemen. So start off by telling everybody your name and what you do.
Great, thanks, Curtis. My name is Barbara Callahan. I am a volunteer with 11th Hour Rescue. I've been volunteering for about a year. And I just love this organization. It's a great community. We're all volunteers for the most part, and we all have one purpose, which is to serve the community and work with the animals and save our animals.
Sure.
And get them placed.
And Jay, right?
Thanks, Curtis.
No problem, brother.
Jay Caraminal with 11th Hour Rescue. I'm the vice president of the organization. Been with 11th Hour for about 10 years. Started walking dogs, training dogs, rehabilitating dogs, getting them ready for adoption. Then started working with facilities, maintenance, got involved with the operations.
Sure.
Then I found myself in the executive committee, and then obviously where we are today. So it's an organization near and dear to my heart.
And this is kind of a second life for you, right?
It is. It is. By day, I'm a safety director, a compliance safety and education director for a company that puts natural gas pipeline in the ground.
So you know what you're doing and what you're talking about. So Barbara, how long have you been with the organization?
So I've been volunteering for about a year. Started off walking dogs and got involved with fundraising and event planning and sponsorships. I also write contracts for new adoptions, mostly for the dogs. And really just working with a lot of the other volunteers and offsite events.
Sure, event planning is so much fun, isn't it?
It's a new area for me.
Okay, well, if you need any help, I'm here
fun.
for you.
Sure, thank you.
So definitely here to help. So how long have you been with the organization, Jay? I think you mentioned 10 years,
About
right?
10 years. I started by, I've always been an animal person.
Mm-hmm.
So I started basically by going to these pet adoption events, and I found myself wanting to volunteer, so I signed myself up, filled out a foster application. I think this was in 2013, took my dog Rocky home as a foster, and I think my wife and I looked and said that same day, this dog can never leave our house, and we ended up what we consider foster failing.
Sure.
So we ended up adopting that dog, and I was so moved by the organization and how we were treated and what they did and the cause,
Mm-hmm.
that I found myself volunteering, working with the dogs and the cats, and trying to find things to do. So when I say what have I done, it's more I've worked with the animals, but I've also helped develop our facilities and our resources so that we can do more.
Sure. So prior to 11th Hour Rescue, you kind of had somewhat of a feeling you want to get involved somehow. So you've, been to different situations and worked with other organizations, but 11th Hour is kind of where you landed with, your full volunteerism.
Prior to volunteering in animal rescue, I was an EMT, rescue, firefighter. I did a little bit of that. So I was always into volunteering, public safety.
Yes.
And that's what I do for a living, public safety. So it kind of all tied together,
Sure.
But my love and passion for animals led me here. And then when I met Linda Schiller, who started this organization, it was game over.
Sure. And Barbara, for you, have you worked with any organizations similar to 11th Hour prior to being with 11th Hour?
No, actually, my background is completely different. I am in finance and worked for a bank, and I found myself in a place where I was just looking for something more to do. And I also have a love for animals. I have 2 dogs, actually now 3 with a foster fail. And I was looking for an organization where I could make a difference, and I think I found one. So I've
Awesome.
been really enjoying my time here.
Well, they're lucky to have you both. That's what I would say. Why is it important to you, like what you do with 11th Hour, Barbara?
Look, there are a lot of animals in this country, and others as well, that need a home. And this organization, I feel, does a really great job of doing the best that they can to save animals that are in high kill shelters, and for no reason other than their time is up. They, need a home, or else they'll be euthanized, and that is really disturbing.
Sure.
So I found that this organization is a really great place to make that difference.
Yeah, and we kind of talked offset a little bit about a global issue that's kind of, I think adding to that, factor is like, high kill rates because there's so many people not getting their animals, I think spaded or neutered, right? That's how you'd say it. Yeah. So, so maybe we can go into that with you, Jay. Like, why is it important to you and kind of tie that in?
Yeah, we do a lot of community outreach, through adoption events, through, I'm invited to speak at schools, mm-hmm. Rotary Club meetings, whatever it is, community outreach, right? And I feel like it's my job to break the misunderstanding or the misinformation that's out there on animals, breed type, mm-hmm. right? Restricted breeds, spay and neutering, and how important it is, the problems that we have in this country with homeless animals. Neglect, and we also have a lot of people who end up divorcing and have to give up their pets, or people who end up passing away who have nowhere for these animals to go. And what we end up with are animals who feel, animals who get hurt, and animals who need healing. And so I would like to think that we as an organization, we do that well. We take these animals in, we assess what they need, we show them love, we show them regular care, mm-hmm. and we teach them what they need to be taught, and then we hopefully get them into a loving home. Our stop should be only temporary.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I forget who said it at one point. It was similar to, homeless veterans with Operation Chill Out. And I think it was Norman from R&J, I think, he can correct me if I'm wrong, but he almost wished that those type of organizations didn't need to exist, mm-hmm. in a way. Mm-hmm. And it's not a bad thing, but they do need to exist, and that's...
It's funny you said that, because the founder of this rescue always used to say, until the last kennel run is empty. So, yeah. That's our hope, right?
Yeah.
Our hope is that we won't have to do this anymore. But until then, it's our responsibility.
As Gen Z says, we're here for it, right?
We are.
We're here for it. So what was the most memorable moment for you, Barbara, in the year that you've been with 11th Hour?
That's a great question. An instance where a family came in and they were looking for a dog, and they were looking at a number of different dogs, and then they just found one that fit perfectly. Mm-hmm. And just the look on the kids' faces, the parents, they all were so happy that they finally found a dog that met all of their requirements and needs, and they got to go home with that dog.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And how about you, Jay? Your most memorable moment in the decade?
So in the time that I've been in rescue, the most memorable moment that I had was seeing a dog, a toy fox terrier, die in front of me. And because of my past, being an EMT and whatnot, I was able to pick this dog up, perform dog CPR and rescue breathing. We transported this. The dog was dead, clinically dead, no pulse, no breathing. A piece of construction debris had fallen on the dog. It went into shock, the whole 9 yards. And my friend and I got in his truck. We sped to the local animal hospital while I was doing dog CPR in the back seat. And the dog ended up, defecating on me, peeing and pooping on me, which I thought was a great thing because
active.
Yeah, I started rolling back, and it was coming back, and so
it's like when a baby cries, right?
Yeah,
it's good.
And so that dog actually ended up living another 5-6 years.
Good for you.
So that was a pivotal point in my my reach in this world of rescue.
You almost wish that you had a camera crew on you. At the time, and then it's like those are the moments that never get, captured. And it's like you wish, but and up here it happened.
It's here.
Yeah, that's right. That's
here.
right, brother. Yeah, and that's what that's what keeps you going. Well, who inspired you to do what you do? I know you mentioned somebody offset before.
For sure, Linda Schiller, the founder of 11th Hour Rescue, dear friend of mine. Unfortunately, she passed in 2020, I believe, October 31st, 2020, of pancreatic cancer. But prior to that, I had never met a person more genuine, more loving, more caring. She had a way of motivating people to do the right thing. She always did the right thing. She started this organization by herself as a rescue of one, and people just flocked to her. And now we have over 250 active volunteers, and she is just, I just continue the effort with remembering what she taught me, the words she said, and how she inspired me to do what I did.
Sure. And when was that? When did she start the organization?
2003.
Wow. So Linda started it back in 2003.
2003.
I was in the 3rd grade.
Yeah.
She started this rescue in 2003, where she pulled 30 dogs out of a Georgia shelter. She had no idea how to do it, but she had gotten a call from somebody that they were going to put down 30 dogs in the very near future, whether it was the very next day. So she looked at her boss and says, "I have to do something." And he was a really good guy, and he basically said, "Go ahead, do what you got to do." And she like a lawyer, got all the information. She made it happen. At the end of the day, she was able to pull all 30 dogs, and I think she got a call from the organization the following day, and one of the caretakers there said to her, "I wish you could do this every day. When you got off the phone with us, we basically said no one dies today."
Wow.
And so she started pulling dogs from high kill states, and that's where we began this mission.
Sure. And how about you? The inspiration, where'd it come from?
I've always loved dogs. I've always had a dog, and I've wanted, as I mentioned before, I was in a place in season of my life
Sure.
where I wanted to start making a difference in this world. I think what drives me every day is the other volunteers that I work with. The group is just phenomenal. They're very committed and dedicated. We have people, for example, who foster.
Mm-hmm.
They have dogs of their own, and they bring other dogs in, and they foster, and then they place them, and then they bring another dog in, and then they place them, and they're constantly turning dogs within their own home, opening their own home to those dogs, and that is just inspirational. I tried to do that, and then I failed, but maybe we'll get back into that at some point.
That's okay. So have you ever worked with, I know you mentioned a lot of names, volunteers that you worked with, any big names or any big organizations or anybody you'd like to mention in general that you work with?
I mean, I can't name drop,
Sure.
but we have rescued out or adopted out to some celebrities, some influential people, and it always gives you extreme pride when you can reach people like that because they have a bigger footprint.
Yes, and they have a big following and all
they
that.
do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have to protect their privacy
Sure,
as well.
sure.
But we've worked with a lot of people.
Sure.
A lot of organizations.
Small and big.
Yeah.
Small and big. And so do you guys work, this is kind of off the script, but do you work with all types of animals or is it just cats and dogs?
Yeah, that's a great question. We work with dogs, cats, bunnies, guinea pigs, rabbits. When an animal in need needs rescuing, we rescue.
It's like a doctor when they sign an oath, right?
Yeah.
So do you have any relationship with like the raptor sanctuaries or anything like that with the birds?
We do have a couple of relationships with a couple of, unfortunately, one rescue just dissolved because the founder passed away.
Oh,
so,
geez.
but we do have affiliations with all different realm of rescue.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
I mean, I'm personally friends with someone who rescues horses. So horses that have been in the polo circuit or ex-race horses or just horses that get old and the owners say, all right, the horse has expired or has passed its normal useful period of life. And so friend of mine takes these horses in and allows the horses to just basically graze in her fields for the rest of its natural born life.
That's kind of like the rescues here at the radio station. There's a couple horses here. Chappie, they're rescues, and they were ridden and maybe abused or whatever it may be, and saved and all that kind of stuff. So it sounds like you guys have your ear to the ground regardless. Like somebody's listening, whether it's at the farm or at the police or the animal rescue team or at the vet or the rescue hospital. Somehow, some way, 11th Hour is there.
Yeah, and let's talk about like 11th Hour. The name 11th Hour came from Linda Schiller, who basically went in at the very last hour to try to rescue these animals from their demise, right? So that's where the name came from. It's a meaningful, impactful name. Linda Schiller gave it to us, so we use it and we live by it. So
sure. And now one of the questions I have for 11th Hour, and usually any guest, is have you traveled? And you mentioned that you're out, you spread out throughout the United States. So kind of, I don't know if it pertains particularly to you guys, because obviously you do travel. You have to maybe pick up the dogs or help people out. But so how far is your reach? Let's just ask you that.
I'm going to tell you that I've traveled all 50 states, whether it's for work, personal work, or with the rescue. I have a really good track record of staying in touch with the dogs that we adopt out.
Sure.
And it wouldn't be out of the norm for me to travel into upstate New York, 3-4 hours away, to visit with a animal that got adopted out from us. I've become very close with some of the adopters, and we just keep in touch. And so that network that we have created kind of expands our reach.
Yes.
And so we do find ourselves traveling in some capacity. Most of the rescues are transported in to us from our partner rescues.
Sure. And how about you, Barbara? Do you find yourself traveling at all for this job or this part?
Most of my work is here in Morris County, so I haven't had to travel outside. But to Jay's point, one thing that I've noticed in the work that I'm doing is the brand. The 11th Hour brand is huge. I'm finding, as I talk to people in the community, they know the brand, or they've adopted a rescue themselves, or someone in their family, or a friend.
Yes.
So that's kind of incredible to me, and it's really nice to see, because then you realize, you're doing something right here.
And it's nice to see people spread the good news instead of the bad news. Kind of, we talked about how bad news spreads faster than good news, but something one of my clients, Aquatech, Chris Morpeth from Aquatech, he said the people that are in the dog and the cat community are very loyal to whatever they do, their job, their family. They're just loyal individuals. That seems to be a characteristic of pet owners. So the same thing carries over with the brand, and you just mentioned that, and it's very true. So that's very important. And the network, so because it's not just having a network, it's having a reliable network, because I can know everybody, but if no one picks up the phone, what's the use?
Right.
So it's like, if you can call these people, you can rely on them, you can depend on them, that's key. And if you know that they have the good intentions that you do, then it's like you don't have to worry about delegating,
If I may, I'm going to say that rescue makes you question humanity at times.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
So the people who share our mission, we feel are the good ones.
Yeah, they probably share your mindset too.
They do, and we've met some really great human beings. There's plenty of great human beings out there, but in this business, we see a lot of ugliness.
Sure. I would imagine.
You can imagine.
Yes.
So we see a lot of ugly, and so that puts a little bit of a bitter taste in your mouth. And so when you get a bunch of like-minded individuals who have a common goal of rescuing and saving animals in need, it's a remarkable thing, and it's kind of it's empowering.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Makes you want to keep going, and regardless of the ugliness, you just keep going, and you're looking for that next adoption.
So that speaks to the next topic, which is like your short-term and long-term goals. Barbara, you want to speak to that, or Jay?
Yeah. So as far as short-term goals, to raise money, expand our capabilities and our facilities. Educate the public,
like right now, right?
and also to continue responsibly saving and pulling animals that need rescue.
Sure.
Because remember, it's our job to pull animals that are going to be successful and that are going to fit well in the community and aren't going to harm people and whatnot. So because we are a no-kill, it's very difficult. Just imagine if we as an organization were to pull 200 dangerous animals, we couldn't adopt them out, and we don't kill. So what we'd end up being is a sanctuary.
Yes, that's
we
what
would
it
end up
sounds like.
housing these animals until the end of time.
And the people that would need to handle those animals need extensive training. So it's important. Now, do you guys have like land or something that you keep them at, or what?
So we, I think it was 2021, we purchased a property in Flanders. It was once a board and groom facility called Wagon Tails. It was a commercial business that we took over when the prior owner decided to retire, and it was already basically set up for a kennel.
Nice.
So we bought that property. We're very proud of that property because prior to it, we were in a rundown, dilapidated structure that we had been in for the past decade that I would continually put Band-Aids on.
Sure. Sounds like an accomplishment to me. So,
Yeah.
Any other accomplishments with 11th Hour?
We've rescued over 40,000 rescue animals to date.
Wow.
Since the 2003 inception, so that's a lot of animals. We have 250 active volunteers. We have about 150 foster families that foster for us. And I would say one of the biggest accomplishments that we have is having a network of phenomenal volunteers like Barbara. We are run probably 98% by volunteers.
Wow.
We have to have a small paid staff to care for and feed and clean up after the animals, and we have a vetting staff. But short of that, everybody here is a volunteer, and let me tell you, we have some pretty dedicated and awesome volunteers.
That's very important. And you love your volunteer work, I'm sure, Barbara.
I do. Like I said, the community of folks here they're just incredible, and they're very dedicated, and they work very hard, and they're super nice people.
I find that Morris County people specifically are a little different than everybody else. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm from Morris County.
I'm born and raised in this area myself.
Yeah, me too. So I love it. It's nice. I know you guys did Flanders. I'm by the Oak Ridge area, Jefferson Township, like Lake Apacon area.
That's where I live.
Yeah, so I'm right over there. But Morris County, we're a little different. New Jersey's different, but Morris County's even, it's very nice. People are usually pretty decent around here. So have you received any recognition or awards for the work that you guys do? Or has the organization?
We're recognized all the time. I think our brand and our name it stands for itself. We get asked to come out to different communities, to different events, different social media outlets, even radio stations. We've done some stuff with car dealerships.
Sure.
I mean. The work that we do basically stands for itself. The people that represent this rescue, I feel, are recognized just based on the work that they do. I mean, it's all philanthropy.
Sure. And now, how can people, let's say, if they want to adopt a pet, how do they do that? How do I do that? Do I just walk there? Do I call? Do I make an appointment online? How does it work?
So. The one thing I'll tell you is you could start with an online search. You can go to any one of a number of our adoption events. We have some adoption centers. We have a cat adoption center at the Rockaway Mall in the old Pet Puri down by the lower levels, what used to be Sears. At the Roxbury Mall on the weekends, we have open adoption for both cats and dogs. And online we have all of our animals listed. What I would say to the public is there is a application process. We ask a lot of questions because we need to weed out people who may not be fully committed to rescue. So sometimes people are like, why are there so many questions on this application? I'm saying because we need to make sure that your heart's in the right place and that you really, truly want to rescue, right? And so once you go through that, it takes about a week or so, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer. I would say get approved. The approval process, it's not that laborious, but once you get approved, it's good for 6 months. And then once you walk into one of our facilities, or once you find that special animal that you fall in love with, you have a better chance of walking away with that animal. Whereas if you were to just show up at one of our rescue events and you haven't put in your application yet, you fall in love with this cute little kitten or this cat or this dog or guinea pig, whatever it is, and you say, I want that, and your daughter or your son is saying, oh, I want that too.
Yep.
They fall in love with it. By the time you get approved, that animal might get adopted out and your heart is broken.
Well, it's good to know, Jay. Good to know there's a process. It's honestly just like anything else. I think Habitat for Humanity, they build houses for, people that are less fortunate. But you still have to fill out an application. Benny's Bodega in Spring Street in Newton, they give you free food, up to $200 for shopping a month. You still have to fill out an application. You have to verify your employment. It's just like a background check, just like anything else, more or less. And it's like they're just making sure the right people are getting the right service and the right, are put in the right situation. So the best way for somebody to reach you guys to volunteer?
So we have a website. It's www.ehrdogs.org. We have a volunteer tab. We also have our animals, our available animals there. You could fill out an application there. We also have a wish list of what the organization needs. We have
Wow.
We obviously never turn away monetary offerings.
Sure.
We function mostly from the generosity of the public. We are a nonprofit 501c3, so we do rely on the generosity of the public and some of our generous donors. And we have a great team of people who try to bring in those donations. And we have lots of contractors that work with us. Sure. So we try to give them homage when they help us. Sure. So we have our website, we have our adoption events, and we have a phone number to our main number, which is 973-664-0865.
Sure. I try to be a philanthropist myself, but it's just the money isn't always there. It's tough sledding in New Jersey, as Benny would say from Benny's Bodega. So, but if I can do something like this, and we have the infrastructure, the resources, and the talent, and the devices, and everything we need to do what we need to do, there's a value to this. We record it, and then we cut it, and then we produce it, and then we package it. So I'm going to try to help you guys as much as possible package your story. You have your social media platforms that you can put it out on, and like what I do is I'll package this into like however long it is, 40 minutes, an hour, whatever, and then I make a promo version of it. We write it up, and then everybody gets tagged involved, and then we just we share it. We probably put the teaser out there and put a link to the full version on YouTube, something like that. But more or less that's what I'm trying to do now here, because when I came across you guys, I was like, I want to help them. Like I said, I come from a family of 14, and we always help each other. Both of my brothers are on the EMT squad in Jefferson. My sister's on the fire department in Independence, New Jersey. Yeah, my mom used to be an EMT. So it's like my brother-in-law's a cop. My brother-in-law's in the military. So helping people has always been in our blood, I think. So that's just something I thought I had to do. I told Norman, I'm like, let's do this. So we're getting the studio time. We're getting Morgan to help us out with the board. Appreciate it, Morgan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Morgan.
Yes, thank you, Morgan.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Listen, like you said, the help we need is not just money. It's all facets of operating this mission, right?
Sure.
We have people who volunteer and help us with landscaping, with cleaning,
That's right.
with processing applications, with setting up for events. We have kids shaking hands in front of supermarkets. I mean, we have people, lawyers. We have marketing people. We need all the help we can get to make this mission fly smoothly.
Well, you got one more marketing person on board, so I'm here for it.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
yeah, I do event planning, social media marketing, multi-channel marketing, productions, video productions, strategies, events, audio engineering.
Well, listen, I have to name drop Kelly Miller, who is our current president.
Okay.
She is our leader. She's our fearless leader. She deals with a lot of stuff day in, day out. And she is, in my opinion, an unsung hero. She is really great. We also have a board of directors, an executive committee, and we have some really great vetting staff, and just our volunteer base is second to none. So we would be nothing without them. So a huge shout out to all of the people who sometimes do tireless things and don't get the thanks they deserve. But here it is, and I'm saying it right now, that we thank them for everything that they do, and they're all so super valued.
That's awesome.
Well said.
And how about you, Barbara? Any shout outs?
I would just echo exactly what Jay said. You know, it's a volunteer organization, and we would be nothing without the volunteer staff and everyone else who helps support us. So thank you to everyone.
And from what I understand, you have a family member that's in communication.
I do.
So.
Oh, she's gonna love this. So my niece down in the Atlanta area, she is going to school for communications, and she is involved in her local radio, on-campus radio.
Okay.
And you know, she's a great kid, and so shout out to her.
Well, who would have
Thank
thought
you.
that 11th Hour would put you behind the mic?
No, nobody. But I would also like to do a shout out for our community events.
Let's do it. Let's
We're
talk
ready for
about
that.
do that. Let's talk about
Excellent.
the events that you guys have,
So-
because that's how I found you guys. I have a client, Tucker's Plumbing. He has a dog as his logo. He loves dogs, and I'm like, okay, so 11th Hour Rescue. Let's tie them together, and then we came across you guys, and now we're going to be at one of your events. Let's talk about
That
it.
sounds great. So we have 3 big community events this year. Our summer social is the first of that. That is August 6th. So we have a lot going on this year. There we have over 40 vendors, including Tucker's Plumbing. Thank you for that. As well as Puppy Wuppy's drill team is coming to do a performance, and I understand one of their dogs is an 11th Hour Rescue. And then we have also Back to Rock, School of Music of Denville, coming to bring their solo junior performers and
Wow.
bands coming as well.
Wow.
Then we have photographer, caricaturist, we have dessert trucks, the other vendors, music, DJ Algorithm will be there. So this is our summer social event.
And that's at Horseshoe Lake in
That's
Roxbury, New Jersey,
Horseshoe
right?
Lake in Roxbury. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And then also on September 30th, we have our annual Puptoberfest, also at Horseshoe Lake in Suck Center, Roxbury, and that is our real big event that we've had over 6,000 people attend that event in the
Wow.
past. And that we've been doing that for probably 10 to 15 years now.
Mm-hmm.
We have our Winter Wonderland event on December 9th at the Sussex Fairgrounds. And then we have a couple other events as well. We've got an event with Warrior Professional Wrestling at the Dover Sports Complex.
Mhm.
So
Pretty
we'd
neat.
love to get people out to see that.
And we even have a featured wrestler who is a longtime volunteer of 11th Hour Rescue, Red Hot Russ. I want to just give out a
Any
shout
big
out.
names, and then he leaves out Red Hot Russ.
Oh, well,
Come on,
Red Hot
man.
Russ. I want to give him a shout out. He'll be sacrificing his body and his limbs on that event, and they just put a great show out. They do. They put a wonderful event out. So if you want to have fun with your kids or your loved ones, come out, have a good night, support the rescue, and support these men and women who are sacrificing their bodies for the good of these rescue animals.
Yeah, I feel that. Burt Barron from WRNJ, he's involved with a lot of wrestling and whatnot. And one of my friends growing up, she was my neighbor, Deanna Perazzo. She's in WWE now. So she's a professional
fun.
wrestler. Yeah, but she same thing, sacrifices her body for everyone to entertain everybody, for a larger cause, I guess. So that's
great.
cool.
And we have one more.
Yeah,
One more
let's do
is
it.
our casino night in
Okay.
mid-October
Oh.
over at Jersey Girl Brewery.
On our website, we have an events tab.
Perfect.
So you could keep up on all of our latest events and how to sign up. The instructions will be on the website.
Whether you want to be a vendor, a volunteer, or a sponsor.
That's right.
Right, because you accept pretty much all 3 at that point. Because I know Tucker's is a vendor, and then you have some sponsors for that really take care of the corporate sponsors, and then you have obviously a boatload of volunteers that are helping out. So and now for the 11th Hour Rescue events, if I were to just show up, obviously you have to have your application done. But what if I want to show up and volunteer, that day?
Well, if it's not volunteering with animals, you can come and sign your volunteer waiver and come and help.
For the events, yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
as far as getting involved with the animals, there's a process there. There's safe animal handling. There's orientations
Sure.
for safety. There's a lot of rules that we have to enforce. So as you can imagine, that takes a little bit more time.
Training, extensive training, as
Yes.
we talked about it. But if you need someone to help with like the parking lot and setting up tents and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure there's a day-to-day stuff that still needs to be done.
Absolutely.
We can't make Jay do everything.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. So, all right, I appreciate your time today. And once again, this is podcaster Curtis Mack. Thanks for listening. And we're with 11th Hour Rescue, Jay and Barbara. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem.
You've been listening to podcasts
With Curtis Mack.